The Eighth Amendment. The Eighth Amendment prohibits the government from imposing excessive bail, fines, or cruel and unusual punishment. The death penalty is the punishment of execution, administered to someone legally convicted of a capital crime. Excessive bail shall not be required, nor excessive fines imposed. Courts are not allowed to assign people large amount of money for bail. Bail money is given to courts promising the accused to come back. Fines should be the appropriate amount for the crime committed. You can't charge $500,000 for littering.
Yo, help me out, bro. Alright. Ah. Oh.
Please don't kill me. Please don't kill me.
See that tree? You killed my wife 3 years ago.
That's a lie.
Oh, come on.
That hurt. What day?
In 1993, Christopher Simmons committed a crime with his friend where they robbed and murdered a lady named Shirley Crook. They then tied her up and threw her off a bridge. He was 17 years old at the time. Simmons confessed to the crime and provided a video reenactment at the crime scene. In trial, the jury recommended the death penalty. Simmons appealed to this. In 2002, the court changed the death penalty laws for mentally disabled, and Simmons filed a new petition for state post-conviction relief, and the Supreme Court of Missouri concluded that a national consensus has developed against execution of juvenile offenders. He used the Eighth Amendment to defend his case, saying that it was cruel and unusual punishment to sentence a minor to death. Therefore, they sentenced Simmons to life in prison without parole. The court is now in session. Thanks, Officer Jake. The Eighth Amendment is almost like the 1689 English Bill of Rights. From what Officer Jake gave me, it shows that Mr. Anthony Mazziato has been convicted of first-degree murder. He is believed to have been stalking the 3 victims for months and planning out the murder. Mr. John Russo, bring up the evidence.
We found these items and footprints at the crime scene. These prints match the shoes Mr. Mazziato was wearing the night we found him. The blade is what he used to stab them to death.
I call Mr. Anthony Mazziato III to the stand.
Is it true Jared killed your wife 3 years ago?
He wasn't convicted, but I believe he did it.
So it was a revenge act.
I plead the fifth.
The defendant, Mr. Anthony Mazziato III, please come to the stand.
I think we all know that this was a revenge act. I mean, we didn't go through the evidence yet, but I think it's clear. Now, was there a problem when Jarrett Reed, who's one of the victims of the killing, killed Anthony Mazziato III's wife?
Objection!
Sustained. There wasn't enough evidence that Jarrett Reed was the killer of Mr. Anthony Mazziato III's wife. From what I have here, he has killed 3 victims by stabbing Mr. Logan Reed and Mr. Augustus Rodeo. He then tied Mr. Jarrett Reed to a tree, then slashed his throat. Is this true, Mr. Mazziato?
I plead the fifth.
Mr. Anthony Mazziato III and his defendant, please go take your seats. That is all. I found the suspect, Mr. Anthony Mazziato III, guilty of the murders of Mr. Jarrett Reed, Mr. Logan Reed, and Mr. Augustus Rodeo. I sentence Mr. Anthony Mazziato III to death. The United States federal government applies the death penalty for crimes such as federal murder, large-scale drug trafficking, treason, terrorism, espionage, and attempting to kill a witness, juror, or court officer in certain cases.
This is outrageous. Why is this happening?
Suspect is guilty, sir.
I don't think so.
I think so. 31 states use the death penalty. Meanwhile, 19 states do not use the death penalty.